Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today I, Bancroft, being joined once again by Jimmy, Jake, and Matt.
Howdy.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey everybody, how are you doing?
I know it's always Fluff, but Fluff took a really long trip this past weekend, so he won't be part of any of the videos this week. So if you miss them, okay. All right, so like
Leave
always,
a comment.
yeah, there you go. Leave a comment. That works. Let them know that you missed them. So like always, there's buttons. Click them, and let's get on. So today's matchup is Matt is playing Gogeta, and he's playing against one of our newer local people, DJ. And he's playing a budget version of Vegeks. I think this is actually his second time being at the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's one of his first times playing the game as well.
Yeah.
And we're going to get him hooked up with some more cards and stuff, so he'll be better equipped going forward.
Yeah, his version of Vegeks is pretty much just the starter deck with some various cards that he already had and some various cards that we had lying around the shop that could fit into the deck. So it is not a full-powered version of Vegeks. It's pretty much just fresh out of the box.
And I will say, sitting on the sideline of this matchup, because I had to buy it during this matchup, it was very close. I'm not going to say who won, but it was definitely very close. And I was actually surprised how close it was.
Yes, I will say that while DJ is new to Dragon Ball, he is not at all new to card games, and he's going to catch on very quickly. I know he's played Magic, Pokemon, stuff like that, based on what the shop manager was telling us.
He also plays Digimon too. So
one thing you'll notice, I have not played Vegeks, probably in 3 months. So I'm reading all of his cards, trying to remember what this deck does besides burn, the top 5 and play stuff. So I apologize in advance for moments when I'm reading the card, trying to figure out what my opponent is going to do.
And I was on, since DJ was very new, and we also had 2 other new people at our shop. And when it came to picking up who would be on camera, I had to choose very carefully, and I chose DJ and Matt. And I sat on the side just to kind of watch and make sure plays were correct as best as possible. Let's put it that way.
You were acting judge this round.
Acting judge without the judge test, yes. Bandai, can you please open it up?
Please, God.
It's actually been really nice at the shop lately, having a lot of new players come in. It shows that there's still a ton of interest in the game, and it seems like every time that we get a new player at the shop, more tend to cascade in right behind.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's just a coincidence or if there is something going on in the wider card game community where the game just gets a boost every once in a while.
Well, I think card games in general are more popular right now than they've been in a long time, thanks to a lot of streamers and people like that.
That is true.
People just want to get out and try the game. And especially now that vaccines are more available, people feel safer, getting out to play. It's great to have new faces,
So,
for sure.
Matt, I got to ask you a question. So when you made this play, I was like, part of me was like, that's a pretty smart play. And the other part was like, you could have just swung and killed it. You just want to get the extra damage on him?
Honestly, I don't particularly remember what my reasoning was at the time. I think I didn't have a whole lot to do with the energy. And I think maybe I was at one point contemplating bringing the max power back into hand later on. Again, I think it was just general unfamiliarity with Vegeks. I think the other part of it is, since he was a newer player, I was probably not being as cerebral as I would normally be if I was playing Jimmy or Fluff, and which is really stupidity on my part, because you will see how close this game is, and it's very clear that while he's newer at the game, he's catching on very, very quickly.
And just to point out what you were doing there, the cards that you saw in your top 7 were clumped in a very particular way, and you're like, I don't want these staying together. So that's why we saw you kind of placing them one by one into the deck before you start shuffling them.
Yeah, so one issue, you'll have with top 7 searchers, at least, unless you're going to do like a Vegas dealer style shuffle and risk bending your cards, is you'll keep seeing them in the same order. And I just kind of take them and I pick them up and put them in the deck, each card individually, just so they don't come back again in that order. I think right now, if I remember correctly, again, I haven't played Vegeks in forever, so I'm kind of obsessed with finding Violent Rays, because I remember that eventually the Unison, correct me if I'm wrong, Bancroft, but eventually isn't the Unison going to be like 30K?
It's minus 4, gives it plus, if I'm correct, 20K, and it gives it dual attack, and then the leader will give it double strike.
Now, this is an embarrassing question. I should know this since it's my own deck. But does Violent Rays hit all cards, or does it hit Unison?
It's modular.
Yeah.
You can pick battle cards or Unison.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I remember thinking very clearly at the time I need to get a Violent Rays, because I was very concerned with that Unison. I also remember thinking that I want to try to end this game on turn 3, which is not how you're supposed to play Gogeta historically. You really shouldn't try to end it before turn 4, but I don't think he was familiar with the deck, and I was just planning on doing a massive spam.
I played against a lot of Vegeks at this same event, and Vegeks is very bursty, where it's going to put a lot of power on the board very quickly, sometimes for free. And I had the most success with trying to survive that burst of enemy damage, and then coming in after they've expended their resources.
And just for clarification, that draw he just did, on the top 5 mil, he did not draw a card right afterwards, and I was like, "Hey, did you draw your card?" So just clarify, that's why he drew just in that moment.
Yeah, I'm obviously letting Bancroft correct any misplays he makes. The fact that we're on stream is irrelevant. I mean, we want him to learn, and and I'm not gonna rule shark him in his second tournament.
Yeah, and that should be kind of a rule of thumb when it comes to new players. If you have a locals that you go to regularly and you want your community to grow, do not punish your new players for not knowing or missing timings. Encourage them to acknowledge the missed timing and stuff like that, but don't punish them for it.
So.
It creates a much more welcoming community when you take on a persona like that, instead of being punishing, hey, you missed your draw, you don't get it because this is a Dragon Ball tournament and there's something on the line.
So what I'm doing this, and I agree wholeheartedly with Jimmy, what I'm doing this turn is I'm trying just to flat out go off. One of the things the leader lets you do is take a life into hand when you search the top 7. So I went down to 4 life. I played my Unison for 2, then awoke, restood 2. So now I have 3 to go into my 5-drop. Now, what you'll notice here, and this is again just the fact that I haven't used this Vegeta Godly Aura in months. I thought it was, again, this is just me being an idiot not knowing my cards. I thought it was search the deck for a Gogeta. It's search the top 7, which Bancroft corrects.
So if you saw, I slide a hand your cards from your discard to look at it real quick. I'm like, that doesn't sound right to me.
No, and it's just my ignorance. Like, I'm not trying to, scam a new player. So I then shuffled the deck and then found the same Gogeta. Honestly, I kind of regret doing that, playing the Godly Aura, because you have to discard to bring the Gogeta in the hand, and I really didn't need it. I probably should have just chosen not, because, that Kaioken would have been far more valuable. But I thought I was going to take him down to 1 or 2 life this turn, if not more. And again, one thing, I gave him a couple Protectors of the People at the end of the night, because I don't think he had any Protectors of the People in his deck. And so that tells you what a disadvantage he's playing Vegeks at.
Yeah, the minus 20k should hit everything on the board, right?
It
Or it's
does.
minus
Yeah,
15.
but it not all of those. Some of those were strong enough to survive the It's minus 15.
Yeah, it's 15.
Yeah, the Vegeta's
20's on the
19,
board.
and I think the Trunks is 20.
Naturally,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And clearing those 2 Kais off the field was huge because, like I said, this is like a fresh out of the box Vegeks deck. So he only has 2 of each of the starter deck cards in the list. So hitting both of those essentially just takes them out of the game. Because Gogeta's not going to let the game go long enough for him to shuffle the deck back and then mill them again. So that was a big hit for DJ in this matchup.
Well, he still only had half a deck this time?
Yeah, this was still like I said, just like box fresh Vegeks.
Gotcha, okay. I know it was that fresh. I knew I thought he was able to buy 2, though.
No,
He might have later in the night.
No, we looked for one at the shop. I was going to buy it for him, but he's got one on the way. He ordered one online, so we've remedied the situation.
Okay. And here I'm
Which
reminded.
really, I mean, if he adds a little more spice, and obviously, it's not like you can just say to somebody, drop $dollars on a Supreme Kai of Time, but you add a little more spice to that Vegeks deck, and you are in business. Even with all the erratas and the bans, it's still a really, really strong deck.
Oh yeah, and there's new lists floating around with some of the new Space Cop support from Battle Evolution, and I think those lists have a lot of potential going forward.
Yeah, there's still a lot of value in Vegeks. I know a lot of people kind of dropped it because it is somewhat of a RNG based deck, but I don't know the exact numbers, but I will take the chances on those mills. Like, it's still you get incredible value off of literally no expense.
Yep.
So if you run 4 of everything in a 50 card deck, statistically you hit something every 2 mills.
He just played that super combo, and before that thing got errated. I mean, it's just insane how good that. And forgive me, is it Bibbidi or Bobbidi who's the super combo with Vegeks?
Bibbidi.
That, God, it was. I mean, it was. Jimmy, would you agree the best super combo in the game by far before the errata?
Easily. That card could just end a game on any swing.
Yeah. When I used to play Majin Buu,
absurd.
I think it was a couple games I played against you, Jimmy. You're like, no.
Yeah.
The only thing that comes close is Blue Yellow Zamas.
Yep.
Oh yeah. There has been so many matchups where I felt so safe in letting a attack go through and then to throw a Champa on that and just one Bibbidi, and it's like, well, I mean that's guaranteed damage.
Yeah.
It basically that super combo might as well just been burn whatever, just burn 1 damage. Like, you're going to take it. You're not going to combo out of it.
Flop's big complaint with it was always he thought it should only be allowable for the offensive step and not the defensive step, because his thinking was, somebody plays a perfect game, combos out their entire hand to win, their opponent has 2 cards and they're both Bibbidies.
Yeah. My thing was or lock it to that 1 leader card, but because that's what it was designed for originally, was because that deck wanted you to mill your whole hand out.
Yeah, I think the solution they came up with is perfectly fair, and it allows Black to have a still strong super combo option.
Yeah.
Which it needs something on par of the dual color super combos now that Bibbidi has been nerfed, but it lets any Black leader still run that card and doesn't allow for those situations that Matt just described where you go all in and get blown out by a 2 or 3 card hand.
And what we just witnessed was he activated the main, and I was like, you need to charge a card before all of that. So Matt let him charge a card real quick. He did charge his double strike, though. I was surprised by that.
It's funny because you will see, me make a decision here in a second on what to neg 20 on with my Gogeta. And honestly, if I make the wrong decision, the game probably would have had a different outcome because he comes really hard this turn.
So I feel like Vegeks now, and there's a good argument to run the Vivity Super Combo over any other in Vegeks, due to splashing support from other colors. Like right there, he charged the Double Striker. That turns off the Vegeta Super Combo that he has in the drop area currently. Because all your energy has to be mono black.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a misplay in a second. I completely forgot about that part.
Is there a misplay? Did he get a hold of a second?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it didn't affect the outcome.
I agree. It doesn't affect the outcome. So,
but yeah, I would never have known because again, I don't play black. I mean, I've dabbled with Meki Kabura and Toa, but it's a black leader, but it runs a lot of green and a lot of oh gosh, I can't think, a lot of red and yellow.
So after the match, I told him a key misplay, obviously besides charging a red card, because I completely forgot about that for the super combo. But he wasn't aware of his matchup, and I don't think he remembered Matt mentioning the whole Gogeta effect, where when you swing, he gets to choose a card and make it by 20. He should have paid the 3 for that card he just played, Awaken, start swinging, and then Overwhelm.
Because I would have gotten rid of the 3-drop. I would have, and then if he comes back and he overwhelms that man on a mission, and I'm like, I may have to combo. Like, I would have had to combo out a lot to survive this turn if he had held off on playing man on a mission.
Like I said, afterwards, I kind of mentioned to him, keep aware of your opponent's cards, because that's very important on how you play your turn out.
And that's an interesting thing about Dragon Ball that I've really loved, and something that's been hard to adjust to when learning other games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, where Dragon Ball has a back and forth between main phase and battle phase. So the sequencing on the way you get to play cards in Dragon Ball is very different from any other card game.
It's very fluid.
I will say that Jake excels at that with his yellow Gohan Dragon deck. He because I'll be sitting there. I played it 3 or 4 times with this Gogeta deck, and I'll be sitting there with an exploiting weakness in hand, and I'm just, torn because I don't know when to play it, because Jake is not somebody who's going to set up his board and then start his swings. He forces you to make a decision. After each step, he'll go main phase, battle phase, main phase, battle phase. And the whole time you're second guessing yourself, wondering, when am I going to play this exploiting weakness? And I think that's one of the key things, if you're playing a wide board, is never, ever, ever give your opponent the advantage of letting you set up your entire board and then hit you with something like that. Play something, swing, play something, swing. Don't make it easy on them.
And coming from a Magic background, that was one of the harder things for me to learn initially, was the fluidity between main phase and battle phase, and just the myriad of advantages, just little tiny pieces of information or little half of a card advantages you can get out of weaving your main phases and battle phases that way, instead of setting up a wide board and then trying to come over with the team.
Yeah.
So what? And I just now you saw Man on the Mission get negged by Gogeta's ability.
Unfortunate. Whenever an Overwhelm card has its battle step negated, it's just so crushing.
And that's also kind of an interesting thing that you could break down into a strategy of overwhelming early to put a big body target on field to be a lightning rod for other options. Now, of course, he doesn't have anything else on the board that it's very important, that it would be very important for him to protect. But being able to put an overwhelm out there and say, okay, well, you either have to make a really hard choice. You have to get rid of this one card that's an issue for you, or this card that is just thrown in. It's, throw a wrench in your opponent's game plan.
Yeah. So there's the misplay. Now, granted, I will say this. It's already I think it was 35 at the time. I think Matt was taking it anyways. I don't know if you would have combo. Would you have comboed knowing that super combo was valid?
No, I wanted the resources because I knew he wasn't going to be able to get through that last life. And at that point, I think I just wanted to make sure I could kill him the next turn. So I wanted as much combo fodder as possible. I've got the secret rare Broly in hand at this point, but I've got to do at least 1 damage before I kill him with secret rare Broly. So I wanted to make sure I had what I needed.
Yeah.
And the other thing you all may not notice is he burned so many power bursts.
He did, yeah.
So, I mean, at this point, I'm like, he's not stopping the Broly swing. I just need to make sure he takes 1 damage before I swing with Broly.
I mean, he managed to see, I think he saw 2 of his power bursts, actually, but he also managed to burn, I think, like 2 of his negate Gokus.
He burned at least 2 power bursts.
Yeah.
Which, again, we gave him some Protectors of the People at the end of the night. And again, that card just, makes Vegeks so much better.
Yeah. I love it's a very unique Matt thing of stacking his combos under the card he's attacking with. I don't know why, but I always love that. Like, I always get like a little smile on my face every time he does it.
Yeah, apparently I'm illiterate and can't comprehend the notion of the combo area.
It's okay, Matt. People complain about the way I set up my board, about the way I combo, all of it.
I just, my favorite Dragon Ball tick with our locals is watching Sabak hand Fluff just, constantly shuffling his hand like he's at a high-stakes Sabak table and Lando's sitting opposite him.
So, that was it. I wanted to see what he had in his hand he left over, and like he had it's the Bardock extra card it gives your leader, I want to say, or a Saiyan, like plus 15.
Yeah, Saiyan leader.
Kraken Space, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then he had like the Zero combo negate Goku, and then he had something else, and then he took 3 life, but I mean, at that point, unfortunately, he couldn't stop the Broly swing.
Yeah.
And that's, this is one of the things we've kind of talked about as a group. There's a lot of hype for the new Gohanks unison. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Gohanks? Gohanks?
Gohanks. I'd say Gohanks.
Gohanks. And, it's not in the same universe as, Broly. But, I think there's situations where it could... I think most decks are still going to, if they don't have access to Broly and if they don't have access to a 35k Saiyan, I think most red decks are still probably going to want to run Army Reborn. But I think there are scenarios in which you would consider Gohanks over Army Reborn. But the thing about Army Reborn is at the end of the day, in almost all circumstances, that auto is going to go off. So, worst case scenario, you're paying 5 energy to wipe everything, ignoring barrier, and see their hand.
Yeah. So, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Matt, you got it. Congrats. You get to go on to the next round. Now, I will say the rest of the videos Matt will not be part of, but in spirit, I think you did, 2-1?
I went 2-1. I faced Jimmy's Android 16, and it didn't go well. I made a really silly. I went all in out of desperation, and my card just got bounced back with God Sealing Techniques trunks. So it was. I knew the game was pretty much over. So I was like, what the hell? If he doesn't have a God Sealing in hand, I have a chance, and I don't have a chance otherwise. But 16 is tough. 16 is really, really tough. I will be curious. I will be curious to see as the meta expands if more 16 decks run Baby or Primitive Power Vegeta. And I can see arguments for either.
No monkey. Get rid of it.
I love that card. I love that card. I think there's a place for it in 16. But we but Jimmy is very much an evangelist of the greatness of Baby.
Yeah, last time I played the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta was before Violent Predator got banned. But with that being said, Matt, you got any last words?
Just know what your own cards say, not to steal Fluff's phrase, but know what your own cards do.
Fair enough. Jake?
If you want to win, you have to practice. And if you can't practice, maybe watch some videos here on Attack on Productions. It's kind of like playing Dragon Ball.
Nice plug there, good sir. Jimmy?
If you're a religious type, can you say a little prayer for DMX?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's like the soundtrack of my high school. I was a junior when Party Up hit, and I'd never heard anything like it. So yes, pray for the King of the South.
And with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Like always, read your cards, know your plays, and fluff out.
Rest in peace, Pepsi.